Hello everyone, welcome back. So today's a Saturday. A couple of days ago we had the first snowfall of the season here in Montreal. If you guys know me, I'm not particularly excited about it, not happy at all. I'll never understand why some people actually love it. It's a troublesome kink, out of my understanding, like feet, for example.
You actually are insane to do that. It is very odd behavior, and that is very weird.
Anyway, earlier this week I received some concerning news that would mean that this winter especially is gonna be way more brutal and challenging than I originally expected. Needless to say, I haven't been having the most amazing time. In fact, it's been quite rough. Didn't want to start this vlog with a sad note, but I'm being honest, I'm being truthful, it sucked. At least this week, job-wise, it wasn't really intense, so I was able to slow down a little bit. Still, it got weird, like anxious weird. You know, it's funny because I told myself things cannot get possibly worse, right? I was wrong. The worst and most depressing season of the year is about to kick my ass. As you can see, I am a ball of negativity. I'm purging my demons right now. So don't worry, I'm gonna tell you all about it later. Now I'm gonna head out for a small walk. I need to clear my head and breathe in the -1 degrees air into my lungs. So good, so refreshing. Good night everyone, here we are again, another night talk, and I promised I would share with you what's going on, so here I am. Buckle up, because it's gonna be a little bit of a long story today. So if you've been watching my vlogs, then you are probably aware of my visa situation. It's not ideal. On my last video I talked about how I thought I was gonna get kicked out, and then I wasn't. And I also mentioned my maintained status, which is actually called implied status. It basically means that my previous visa has expired and there's a new one coming, so I'm implied. Wait a second. Well, it now turns out that I have the opposite problem and I am technically not allowed to leave the country for what could be 5 to 6 months. Why? The reason for that is that my new visa/work permit is getting processed and it takes a very long time, and apparently it must be, I don't know, a national security threat to let somebody out in the meantime. I don't know. The only thing that I know is that I'm kinda effed. In my last video, I also talked about how I was really looking forward to getting a Christmas break and going to see my family and friends, and in the current circumstances, that cannot happen anymore. On the other side of the screen, you might be like, okay, why is missing Christmas that big of a deal? It hit me hard, not gonna lie, because last year I missed it and I spent the whole holiday season here on my own. Fine, like it was a sacrifice that I was willing to make. This time around it feels different. Like I have no other option but to stay. I know champagne problems, but I've also been talking a lot and thinking about how much I value freedom, and those 5 to 6 months of my life, my job wouldn't change. I would be living in the same place, which I don't totally adore. When I say that I have no other options, I mean I do have an option. I could leave and I could lose my right to work in Canada and lose my job, which, to be honest, is a possibility that it's not out of the table. The dilemma is boiled down because there's so many factors going on. It's actually very complex. I can either sacrifice everything and jump to whatever comes next, or I can choose to stay, change nothing about my situation, go through the entire harsh Canadian winter, which I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. It's gonna be a pain in the ass and I'm gonna do it all on my own. So right now I'm taking this week to mainly decide what I'm gonna do with my life. As I said, it's not an ideal situation. I feel like I'm running out from, for a lack of a better word, options. You know what? Even if I leave, I think it's not gonna be that bad. This last year I've made a lot of sacrifices. I've learned a lot, but I've spent a lot of time in survival mode. And I feel like if I want to, it's gonna sound really cheesy, thrive. Like maybe I should put myself in a different set of circumstances. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, it's very late. I'm gonna go to sleep. Thank you for listening to all of this. If you are invested in my situation, thank you so much. So yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Good night. I've always had issues making decisions. It takes me way too long, and I think it's partly because fear. Actually, I do think that a lot of us have this issue where we want everything to be perfect and we overthink and then we somehow end up in the same place. Very frustrating. I cannot recall a time in which I wasn't this indecisive. I feel when I was a kid, probably my decision making was way quicker. As an adult, especially after graduating, this extra layer of responsibility can sometimes be very soul-crushing. Let's say it, the world right now it's kinda crazy and we don't always end up making the right choices. It's quite ironic because even if we end up making a decision, we get too caught up with the what could have beens. I believe it's part of the human nature, but if you're like me, it's very draining and it's very difficult at the end of the day to feel truly satisfied. It's not great to have all those dead possibilities in the back of our heads regrets and be like, if I had only knew at that time, then my whole life could be different, it could be better. And the truth is that there's no way of us knowing what could have happened, so it's a habit that we need to get rid of altogether. There comes a point when you realize that life is always gonna be this way. It's gonna be full of decisions, and if we torture ourselves, we overthink, we try to control everything, then we are gonna make it really difficult for ourselves to find mental peace. You know, it's not gonna be achievable, because you could have everything you want but still feel like there's something missing because you didn't make the right choice. So lately I've been mainly working with the concepts of everything's unfolding perfectly and action is more important than perfection. What I mean when I say that everything's unfolding perfectly is that everything's happening the way it should. This is a concept that can be difficult to grasp, but we are always doing our best. At any given time, at any given circumstance, we have two choices to make. Either we can recriminate stuff to ourselves and have a horrible time, or just accept and live with the fact that if it should have been, it would have, and leave it like that. You know, you can walk away. It's fine. And when I say that action is more important than perfection, I mean action is more important than perfection. I've been able to observe during the past couple of years that more is lost by indecision than actually making the wrong decision. The wrong decision. And if we end up making the wrong decision, it's never actually that bad. And hey, at least we learned something. Better sooner than later.